It's just fear, and fear can only break me if I let it.
This is different.
You don't know that.
Yes, I do.
Maybe you could just try eating regular food again. Just small bites.
I'm not eating garbage because I'm afraid. Or broken. It's happening because it's making me.
Welcome, Formerly Faithful. We are back to cover Ep.7 of Season 3, entitled These Fragile Lies. Before we begin, just wanted to thank everyone for continuing to like and share the content. I've received over 200 subscribers within the last 30 days, and I'm right at about 8,500. I'm looking to get to 10,000 before the end of the year. So continue to like and subscribe as I try and reach that benchmark by the end of the year. But before I get into my review, I have another special guest. I have Pegah Ghafoori, who plays Fatima, who's going to go over what went down in Episode 7. And then once we're done with that, I'll go right into my review. So without further ado, here is Pegah discussing what went down in Episode 7 and where her character may be going from here. All right, great to see you again. Last time we talked was, I believe, towards the end of Season 2. So a lot has happened since then, particularly with Fatima. We knew her anger was building, but did you see it building to the point where you would take it all out on Tillie, poor little Tillie, this episode?
No. No, I love Deb, and the fact that I was responsible for that haunts me to this day.
Got it. And one thing I really liked about your performance also, I feel like it mirrored a lot of what we see or have heard with minority women not being listened to in the medical field, knowing something is wrong with their body and it being either dismissed or saying it's all in your mind. I wonder if you channeled any of that into your performance this episode with Episode 7, because it really reminded me a lot of that, of what I've read that minority women go through in the medical field.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I getting to be able to kind of tap into that a little bit was it was a weird place to be because I was like, this is the truth. It sucks that this is the truth, and also how do I dig deeper into that? Um, and also minority women in the medical field, just women and the right to speech, to being heard, to being understood, to a safe environment where they feel understood, just throughout. Yeah.
And Ellis, to me, has been kind of a saint this whole season, just trying to deal with you, trying to be supportive, not always knowing what to do. But from your perspective as a woman, is he doing everything that he should be doing? Is there any blind spots that you see looking back on it that he could have done better with this entire process?
I'm going to answer this very carefully because to me, these two characters are still kids themselves, and the fact
Sure.
that they're trying to, I mean, they're adults, but they're kids, they're young, and trying to figure the world out in the real world is scary enough. And I think there's a lot of grace happening for the two of them, by the two of them, for each other. Um, I think he's trying his best, and she loves him for that. Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to really commend you for, back in Season 2, you told me that you didn't trust Elgin, that there was something up with him. You just weren't sure. And I was like, okay, now I can kind of see where that's coming from. So even at this point, Episode 7, we can see that there's a collision kind of coming. He's seeing that decayed woman in your picture and everything. So what did you know back then that didn't make you feel comfortable with him? Because he seemed so sweet and everything in Season 2, but you knew something back then that just unsettled you about him.
I'll be honest, the reason I shed light on that was just because he's an angel, Nathan Simmons. But he's always like egging you on as like, oh, like I'm definitely gonna get killed off this season or whatever, whatever. And I'm like, Nathan, you just got here and you're so good. Nothing's happening. But that in my head was always going, and I'm like, he either knows something or he's just a very interestingly odd dude. Um, and I think that's where that was coming from. I don't think I was thinking any more of it. I was just trying to like egg him back as a friend.
I think I have time for one more question. With Tilly gone now, who do you see as a potential threat to Fatima? I'm kind of looking at the cop, Acosta. I think she's just so nosy that that can blow up that process. Is there anyone else besides her, or maybe her, that you see as a threat to Fatima and Boyd and pretty much your immediate family?
Oh yeah, Acosta for sure. She's been stirring the pot lately. Um, I I'm personally a little more worried about how Donna is gonna feel about her, or Victor, because Victor was like, I don't trust Elgin, and I'm like, I don't want him to think like that to me. And what he said to Sarah, you're the scariest person here, and it would break my heart if the people that I've grown to love and have been so close with changed their opinion of her. Yeah. Ugh.
Well, I thank you so much for your time. I'm hoping season four is a little bit kinder to you. You've been through so much, so but I appreciate your time and looking forward to talking with you next season.
Hopefully. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thanks, Hannah. So, big thank you to Pega for that wonderful interview discussing everything that went down with killing Tilly and where she thinks Fatima's going to go from here. So, because we started off with with some heavy Fatima content, I'm going to switch gears and start my review talking about Acosta. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because now I'm almost certain that Acosta is really the big threat as far as the human characters go in the town, instead of the potential conflict I thought was going to happen with Randall and Boyd because of Randall being upset that he was left to the night creatures. But so far, Randall seems too far out of it mentally to really be a threat to anyone except himself. But Acosta is a whole nother ball game. Let's start number one. What happened? Boyd goes back to his office. She's went through his things. That's a big violation, number one. And then number two, there's no remorse with it. She's adamant about, I need my gun back. You don't tell me what to do. And you really almost think it's going to be a physical confrontation between them at that point. But it doesn't happen because Boyd actually compromises a little bit, which we haven't really seen him do too much when we have these heated arguments. And he does give her the weapon back, but without any bullets until she can earn that responsibility back. And I think that was another crucial mistake that he's made in this initial relationship with Acosta. I mentioned, I believe it wasn't, if it wasn't last episode, it was the episode before then, when she came there, hat in hand, trying to give him some pointers about what he could possibly do to quell the town issues. And he went off on her, told her that, you killed somebody, you can't give any type of advice here and get out of my office. And once he did that, initially you can see that he felt he was a little too heavy-handed with her. I thought that was mistake number one because you're pushing away a potential ally. And I thought that that would initially lead to her and Randall hooking up and becoming a different faction. But I don't think she really needs anyone. I think she's going to be just dangerous by herself. Pegah Ghafoori, Fatima's actress, agreed with me when she mentioned that she doesn't really trust Acosta, especially with this Tilly situation going down. And I think the big issue with Boyd is that he's compromising again with her, and he's only going to embolden her by doing that. Now she's going to feel even more confident about crossing the line because she didn't have any type of appreciation for getting her gun back whatsoever. She's still like, whatever, I'm going to get back the weapon with the bullets soon enough. And then she mockingly calls him sheriff before she walks out of there. So that is a big, big problem. And then when you look at the totality of the episode, when she had the interaction with Kenny, she's throwing, shots at Boyd right then and there. And she's saying that, who put him in charge? How does he know what he's doing? And Kenny's like the second in command. So she's that comfortable talking to him like that about Boyd. What's going to happen when she's interacting more with the other townspeople and riling them up? I think the only thing that's preventing that right now is that everyone is still a little bit wary of her because of what happened with Jennifer. But if there's enough conflict that happens, another night creature attack or another food shortage, people are going to be looking to leadership again. And I can see people gravitating towards Acosta, but even if they don't, I think she's a problem all by herself. And there's a few things that were mentioned in this episode that also makes me a little bit, I guess, maybe concerned about her. Is that when she was asked if you have any family or anybody, back in the real world, she said no. So that kind of implies that she's a lone wolf and that she can be very obsessive about things. She's also fresh out of the academy. So she feels like she has something to prove, and there's no veteran cop, to pair with her that can kind of slow her down a little bit, help her walk through things and not be as impulsive. She's just really feeling like she has to prove herself in this new environment, even more so because she came into this environment messing up so badly, almost getting Tabitha killed, literally killing somebody else by being reckless with her gun. So I think she's going to be in full cowboy mode before the season is out. But even that, I'm not too confident about because we really don't have that many episodes left. We have three in total, and there's a lot of storylines they need to touch on, particularly with Fatima and Elgin. I think is going to be the main one. So she might start subtly causing issues, but I think she's not going to be a full-on antagonist until we get to season 4. But really, how she can blow things up would be this whole situation with Tillie. If she does a lot of investigating and things don't add up, which I think is going to be the case because how can they really cover this up? It's a person that's not ripped apart, so it's obviously not a night creature. It's somebody in the town, particularly within Colony House. And with her being the cop, I think she'll start just putting things together, who was where, who wasn't where they were supposed to be, who might have, we don't know if anybody saw Fatima until we go into the garden greenhouse area. So all of that can tie into uh, Acosta blowing all that up and causing a bigger issue. But as far as the biggest threat right now, I think it has to be her on the human side and not Randall. So you can throw out my little theory before about her and Randall creating a faction. I don't think she needs Randall. I think she can do enough damage by herself. So looking forward to seeing what Acosta can get into in these final couple episodes heading into the finale. The other potential problem, well, not really a problem, but I thought it was kind of a time waster to a degree, would be the whole Randall and Julie kind of side quest that went on. I did get some enjoyment out of it just from the simple fact that we see Julie just happy to get some type of male attention at this point. Things are not copacetic with her father. She's not happy with her home life and she's gravitating towards somebody that's outside of that. The obvious bad boy, somebody that seems mysterious, kind of standoffish. So I don't think I've ever seen Julie smile as wide as she did getting that training with the car lessons with Randall. So that was funny to see on one hand. But outside of that, even with the bugs and everything, I feel like it was just a vehicle to get them around the ruins again. Because we obviously know that Julie has a connection there. So even though she didn't go in because of Randall's recommendation, I really wholeheartedly feel like she's going to be going back there either by herself or maybe with Ethan or one of her parents. And then she's probably going to have a vision similar to Tabitha. I don't think she didn't grow up there, obviously, but I feel like she's going to get some type of insight into the town, which can be useful to somebody. Maybe she gets insight into what the decayed woman has been telling Elgin when she goes into the ruins. But something is going to happen when she goes in there, some type of vision that's going to tie into the season finale, I think, or at least the last couple episodes. But this was kind of just a setup for that. I would have preferred if they just went ahead and did that instead of just going there and then not following through with it. So that's why I feel like the whole Randall and Julie thing was kind of more so a side quest instead of something that was really substantial that we really needed, as far as essential viewing. Now let's go to Tabitha. The interesting thing about Tabitha is I feel like she is doing essentially what Jim was doing in the earlier seasons. Jim was gung-ho with the Tower Project and feeling like he was close to finding a way out. Now it feels like Tabitha is on that path now that she knows her childhood dream is tied into the town, but we don't know what way it's hiding yet. I really was hoping we would get some insight into what was making her scream on the other side of the rock, but she obviously doesn't know that. So that's something else that's probably going to take a few episodes to resolve, hopefully by the finale. I feel like that's something that you can't dangle into season 4. I think we need an answer on that. But Jade added some really good insight into that as far as the whole idea of destiny. In the last recap I did, I looked at it more as lineage, that if you had ancestors in the town before, that maybe tied you back into it, and that's how you ended up seeing the tree. Uh, Jade looked at it more so as just destiny. You were chosen some type of way. Maybe, you don't necessarily have to have people that have lived in the town before that you were tied to, but if you were chosen some type of way, just like Miranda was Henry's wife, that's how you end up here, and there's no way you can avoid it. But We're still not getting a lot of answers there on how Miranda and Tabitha are tied together. What makes them special? One person, I believe, in my comments from the last review, speculated that Tabitha is really Victor's sister, really Eloise, and that does kind of make perfect sense because she was obviously a little girl. Remember, Miranda and Eloise left Victor, and maybe just somehow got separated. And the screaming is Eloise being by herself, finally seeing a night creature or a monster or somebody that whisked her away and allows her to end up back in the real world. So I think that's a very good theory. It's kind of the one that makes the most sense at this point, especially when you think about the whole idea of the charms and the bracelets that Tabitha was seeing in Henry's car before the crash. So they are tied in. That's very obvious. And I think that's the only clear way to tie them in without doing time travel and things along those lines. So that's the theory that makes the most sense to me at this point, as far as how Tabitha ties in, being in the town before, but not remembering it. So I feel like they're getting closer, but I'm just hoping we get a clear-cut answer on that one by episode 10. I think that's really needed. And I feel like Jade is slowly piecing everything together. And the fact that he mentions that maybe will open up his theory about, or help him have a set theory about the bottle tree numbers. Are they dates or are they coordinates? We're still up in the air about that. But hopefully he'll be getting close to having an answer on that by the time we get to the finale. Now the big thing, let's talk about Elgin. So now clearly Elgin has a purpose. The decayed woman and the photographs have led him to a cellar that no one seems to really be aware of, I don't think, and also a false wall that leads to a secret room that has a cot, uh, and basically like a little hideout. And the fact that that was revealed to him, that lets me know that that's going to be somehow tied into Fatima. Either he's going to kidnap her and hold her there where nobody can find her, or maybe here's another idea. Maybe with Tillie being killed, that opens the door where Elgin feels comfortable enough sharing with Ellis and Fatima and everyone the visions that he's had, and maybe they willingly go there. Because remember, Donna said that she wasn't really too comfortable with Fatima staying there before, earlier in the episode, because of not having a child, and we don't know what's inside of her, if it's worms or if it's something else. So maybe they willingly go there to keep her away from Colony House and keep everyone safe. And that's where they start trying to cure her. And maybe we find out that the decayed woman is actually an ally. That's one possibility. But if I had to be a guessing man, I don't think the decayed woman is actually a friendly entity, only because she's keeping everything secret. And the way things are going, it feels very similar to how Sarah unraveled before. She's thinking that, okay, if I'm doing this, it'll save everybody. And Elgin seems to be having that same type of mindset. Like, this works, it'll save everyone. And that just sounds like a flat out lie. So if I had to guess, I think he actually takes her, holds her there, and either does experiments or something that ends up with either him being killed or her being killed. And then we see even a bigger fallout after the Colony House people discover that. Another possibility is maybe while she's gone, they do discover that she's the one that kills Tillie, and it's not a rescue mission that they go on, when they're trying to find her. It's actually a mission to kill her. And that could be where Acosta comes in, riling everybody up. Like, this person has killed one of our own. She can't be trusted here. We need to get rid of her. So there's a lot of possibilities headed into the finale, but I don't see a good outcome whatsoever with Elgin and Fatima, aside from if he doesn't tell everybody early on in the next episode that, hey, these are the visions and I can help with this mess that happened with Tillie. If that doesn't happen, like in the first half an hour, I think it's going to be the tragic approach where he does something with Fatima, either kidnapping her or killing her before she turns into a night creature. I'm still on that train about she's going to turn some type of way, because there's not a baby in there. It's not a night creature baby we have to worry about. It's her, becoming a creature, because there's something in her bloodstream that's causing these hallucinations. Her stomach. We saw this episode where her stomach was caving in and all that type of stuff. So that can't be trusted. So that is my big theory on where Fatima and Elgin are going before we get to the finale. So final thoughts. Overall, I feel like this was another kind of placeholder episode. Of course, Tilly dying was a big thing, a big change for Fatima's character, where she can go from here, because she has been such a wonderful presence in Colony House, keeping people grounded and keeping people in touch with their I don't know if I want to say hedonistic emotions, because they kind of went away from that before. Remember when it was kind of the free love society there in kind of the first two seasons, and she seemed to be at the helm of that. They haven't focused on that as much this season because obviously she is pregnant, but just her presence seemed to be more of that artistic, let's make the best of it while we're here type of person there. And I think her unraveling and potentially falling apart or becoming a night creature, that can be what actually destroys Colony House as far as people having any hope of things getting any better. If somebody like this can crack, or Donna, I think that's it for Colony House. I don't see them recovering from that mentally. Because if Donna's the leader, then it seems like Fatima's kind of the heart of the Colony House community, particularly her and Ellis's relationship, them getting married and the whole community seeing that. I think that was a big boost for Colony House. And for that to fall apart, I think Colony House will be falling apart not that far behind it. I wanted to touch on Kenny a little bit. I did enjoy seeing him almost unwittingly take on his mother's role a little bit in the diner, or trying to, with Acosta. She's coming in there completely upset, and he's very calm, explaining to her how the town works and everything, being very patient. And all of that happening in the diner reminded me of how Tien Chen operated the diner, and was kind of a comfort for anybody that came in there. So I thought that was really cool to see. So I don't, see him continuing that, but just seeing that for a brief moment was nice to see. And then Bacta coming in saying that she wants to resurrect the diner was really cool as well. So I like to see that from Kenny, being that he's lost so much, almost as much as anybody in the town, him and Sarah. So seeing him kind of bounce back a little bit was nice to see. Uh, Donna, I also liked hers getting a little bit stable. Before it seemed like she was cracking a little bit because so much was happening with Dale before. She had the crying breakdown the episode before that. But I feel like she's finding herself again simply by helping others. She had the nice little talk with Tabitha the last episode, stressing to Tabitha that your family is here. That is something, a luxury that all of us don't have. And then this episode, she took the time to talk to Henry to kind of calm him down a little bit, like, hey, this is still your son. It's still very early in the process. There's a lot that you have to, work out. But even more so than that, it wasn't really giving a lot of set advice. It was really just kind of being an ear for Henry to kind of vent to. And I thought that was really cool of Donna to do. I think that helps keep her grounded and helps her feel like she's, has a purpose and is helping the community despite all this craziness that's going on, and having this Fatima situation on her plate with knowing about the non-pregnancy happening. So I thought that was cool to help Donna get a little bit more centered than where she was the last few episodes. One thing I wanted to touch on about the Tilly situation, what really made it even more tragic than just her dying that way, is that I saw a couple other creators when they were doing reviews, they were speculating that maybe Tilly wasn't on the up and up, that maybe she was tied in because, she had the tarot card reading and everything. So really, maybe she knew more than what she was letting on. But in the end, everything that she did was genuine. And when you look at where Fatima is now, just out of her mind, not secure, feeling like she's not being listened to, Tilly kind of represented the end of the process if everything worked out. This is a woman that beat cancer and is really trying to embrace as much time as she has left, just enjoying, no matter what the circumstances are, making the best of them. And I feel like that's where Fatima could have gotten to if this was a traditional pregnancy and everything worked out the way we hoped it did. So the fact that Tilly was kind of representing the older woman's wisdom and trying to impart that on Fatima to kind of help her through this process, and then ended up getting her destroyed, that was really sad when you look at it that way. But it also dawned on me, or I didn't miss what Tilly said in her last words were telling Fatima to run. So I don't know what Tilly saw or what revelation kind of just dawned on her, in her dying breath. But she's basically telling Fatima that you can't be around here. To me, that's how I took it. You have to run and try and save yourself some type of way and don't bring down the rest of us with it. You already killed me. That's how I took it. So that is further kind of a hint to me that her time at Colony House is over with. She has to be out of that community some type of way. So as far as speculating, just a little bit on how that's going to happen, we have to think that Ellis is there. I don't think Ellis is going to keep it to himself. He is going to tell Boyd, and I think Boyd will have to tell probably Donna. So that group of people will probably be the ones that will know the truth, and the truth will get out some type of way. I'm banking on Acosta figuring it out, and then that's going to be it's going to be an uproar with Colony House, possibly the end of Colony House. So we'll see where things go in episode 8. I think things need to really ramp up. I think the last 2 episodes, even though they had a few significant moments, were kind of slower episodes. I think these last 3, with everything that we have going on with different storylines, are really going to ramp up. I think that might be the episode where we finally get a confrontation face to face between Elgin and Fatima. Also, maybe hopefully getting a set answer with Tabitha and Jade finding out something. And, maybe she sees more of the dream that she can reveal. And then the big thing is, when is Julie now going to go into the ruins and see the vision? I think she's going to see some type of vision. I think that's either going to happen in episode 8 or episode 9. I think you can't jam all of that into just a finale. You have to kind of spread those out in the next 2 episodes. So that's what I'm hoping on. I definitely want to hear what you guys think. Are you feeling comfortable with where the season is? Because the big thing I said in my earlier recaps, I believe the first 2 reviews I did for the season, is that I think this is a season that they really have to nail the end of it. And because the reason why I feel that way is we're at season 3. We still have more questions than answers. And I feel like if they don't nail it, this can be the turning point where people start tuning out a little bit, which is what you don't want. I feel at this point, all of us are watching every episode diligently, but if it's a finale that doesn't answer some of these questions, then that's when I think people start saying, "Oh, well, I'll check it out mid-season, or I'll skip a few episodes, then pop in and see how things are going on the show," which is what you don't want to have happen. You want to have people constantly invested every single episode. So I think a lot is riding on this finale. I've ran this by all the actors I've spoken with so far, and all of them are saying that we're going to get some answers, that we've been waiting on. Not all the answers, but some significant ones. So I'm gonna hold them to that, and we'll see what we're going to get in a couple weeks when we get to the finale over these last 3 episodes. But thank you again for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, please continue to like and subscribe, and I will see you back here next week to cover episode 8. Take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend.